Great, thank you. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hurtigruten. I'm Anthony Daniels. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for UK, Europe, Middle East and Africa. And I'm just going to run you through some of the sustainability credentials that we're working on with Hurtigruten. As you can see there on the first screen, it is our anniversary. It was on Sunday. We are 130 years old, and yes, it does show, and I do look it. But we're very proud of our heritage and our history, and really the ethos of the company is very much setting the tone of sustainability within the travel industry. The group I represent has three brands underneath it. So we've got Hurtigruten Norway, which is our heritage product, Hurtigruten Expeditions, which is our new product, relatively new, that's now doing Antarctic, Arctic, Greenland, Iceland, Northwest Passage, Alaska, etc., etc. And little known to many people is actually we own a couple of hotels and a land operation up in Svalbard, which is the island very north of Norway. So we've got a real nice diverse product mix. But really with the areas that we travel to and we have residents in, sustainability and our engagement in local communities is the heart of everything we do. One thing I always try to do when I'm having these conversations and these presentations with yourselves and our consumers and our future guests is the relevance it is to everybody in the market, because everybody talks about sustainability. Everybody's doing amazing work, but really what we've got to start doing is making sure it's relevant for yourselves. So when you're talking to our future guests and your loyal clients, there's a relative to them to actually what it means. Because as you see, we're doing amazing work, but the big question is why me? What does it happen? What does it happen? I won't answer everyone's questions, but thanks to the mornings for everybody, and it's good to see everybody. So just a very, very brief history on Hurtigruten. Our Coastal Express service runs on a frequent basis out of Bergen in southern Norway. We have 7 ships that go up and down the coast of Norway on a 12-day rotation. We stop northbound 34 times in that period, and then 34 southbound. And we started this 130 years ago with the Norwegian government to reach the outer communities in Norway that are very hard, or certainly were 130 years ago, very difficult to get to. So we still operate that service with the Norwegian government. For the local guests, they use it as a ferry and a cargo service. However, for our leisure guests, it's a full-on holiday immersive experience, and very unique and very different to anything out there that you've got. We don't class ourselves as a cruise line, even though we have ships. Our product is very much about outward facing, whether it be the expedition program or it's the Coastal Express. And what I mean by that is the ships have got great facilities, great accommodation, great food, but actually all the entertainment and the engagement is off the ship, which is why we're very conscious and very conscientious about our engagement with the local communities. Our largest ship is only 500 passengers, so another reason why we don't class ourselves as cruise. Our ships generally can be the tenders for the bigger white ships of the company. But really what we offer with such an immersive experience with our program is actually the local connection to the communities. And obviously we've had 130 years of building that up over the coast of Norway, but our ethos is to have that same mindset when we're actually going to places like Greenland, Iceland, Alaska, and how can we engage with the local communities there and make it a positive experience for them as well as our guests. So there's a lot of collaboration that we do to make sure that actually we leave a positive footprint wherever we go, and we're welcomed by these communities actually as a supporting company and a supporting client base that actually come to these destinations. Being that they are so remote, we've got to be very super careful about how we do that. What we like to say is with our guests is that when we do start measuring them against some of the bigger cruise ships, is our individual passenger has the same economic impact as the 3.5 passengers from a big ship, because of our closeness to the communities. So just a few little snapshots there about the money and the investment that we put into the local areas and local communities when it comes to us traveling in these areas. So just one that I'll pick out there is 175 million Norwegian kroner in local hotels and transportation funding that we do, which then if you think about that and the 1.9 million meals, that money is then reinvested into the local areas. It's not something that we retain back into the company. It's something that goes to our local suppliers and the local businesses that we work with. And we're very mindful about the companies that we do engage with, because it's all very well and good that we actually have this ethos as a company. But what we want to make sure is the companies that supply us and the companies that look after our guests when they're on excursions or they're doing tours, they have the same mentality and the same ethos as us. So we're very much considerate about the people that we work with, and it's got to be the right kind of methodology and the same as our ethos. So caring for the coast since 1893, and as it says there, our ambition to be the most sustainable travel operator in the world, and we're well on our way to doing that and setting the pace. And really what we want to do is inspire many other companies to follow us. We're not in the game of we're going to win this, we're going to show off. It's about leading the way. And if we can open the door to other companies to follow us and that has a positive impact, then all the better for everybody. Just to show you there the scale and size of the difference between us and one of the medium-sized cruise ships in today's world, in one of the Cunard, one of the amazing ships from Cunard. And it just reinforces the fact that even though our ships are smaller, they still have a massively important impact on the local communities, because many of the ports that we call to, and not just on the coast of Norway, but obviously globally where we travel to, many other ships and companies can't actually get their products there. So our impact actually has a wider spread in some more remote places. And that is actually one of the real positives that our guests like to follow us for, and certainly our loyal clients. Here's just a snapshot of a couple of sustainable things that we've done and that we are doing. We started back in 2010 where we stopped all the use of the heavy fuel oil. At the time, it cost us more to use the better fuel, but it was a conscious decision by us and the company to say, if we are going to stand up and be counted, then we've got to make sure that we're doing the right thing. That cost is not passed on to the company, onto the client, sorry, it's kept within the company. A couple of things in there, some of them may seem quite small, but in 2012 when we banned on scampi on board the ships, the actual impact that has in an environmental point of view, because of the transportation, the looking after and the actual delivery of those, was such a negative impact, we had to make that decision. One of the biggest things we did in 2018 was we banned all single-use plastics. Now, that's something that many companies have done. We made that decision earlier that year in 2018. I think it was in the March. By the summer, by the July, we'd actually stopped at single-use plastic on all of the ships, and actually stopped working with some suppliers that couldn't actually meet the criteria that we'd set ourselves. So even though these are some of the smaller areas, some of the big things that we've now started to do is that we've actually got shore power along the coast of Norway, and I'll come on to that in just a second, that in some of the ports that we can actually call into in Norway, we turn all the engines off when the ship's idling, when she's doing her transportation and guests are coming on and off, and then we technically plug the ship in. And again is a massive environmental positive for the local communities. And we are now having those conversations with the frequent ports that we're calling around the world, whether it be the UK, whether it be Canada or America, and finding out ways that we can actually improve that program and actually utilize the shore power. And again, whatever learnings we have, we pass on to the industry and our competitors to make sure that if it's all of us having these conversations, then the ports are going to be a better place as well. A couple other things in there, and we'll come on to the 2023 when we're talking about the C0 concept. But we also have environmental upgrades on all of our ships, that we've had the ships going into dry docking quite a lot of frequency over the last couple of years, where we're now making sure that we've got a lot of hybrid concepts throughout our fleet, whether it be expedition or on the coast of Norway. And one nice thing that we do as well is on board our ships, we give the guests the opportunity to choose to have a green stay. So outside of their door, they got a leather fob that if they put it on their door handle, that tells our crew that the guest doesn't need the room turned down and they don't need fresh towels and sheets. And more of our guests are doing that. Every time a guest does that, we actually then donate into our foundation. We have a Hurtigruten foundation that funds local communities, and we've had some funding into the UK. We've had fundings globally into the likes of Greenland, Antarctica. We work with the RSPB, and also they've received some funding. So it's a really nice circular payback program that we have with our guests and our repeating customers. Okay, I've been given 5 minutes. Sorry, I like to talk. I'll skip through a few slides, and what I'll do is hopefully we'll get to see these slides shared with you later on. But what you can see is obviously we've got a lot of work going on. Just before our anniversary, our announcement to say that we are 130 years old on Sunday, we announced that we are starting a project called C0, where we are creating a ship which will be emission free. So hopefully you saw some of these images, and I'll skip through to the images there. So this is the early concept. They are not sails, even though it does look like it. They're actually solar panels. And there's been some questions, obviously, how can we create a completely zero free emission ship? Because obviously the production of all of the technology and the equipment, that's also going to be part of this C0 project. It's not just the ship itself when it's sailing, it's the construction and the design of as well. So it's going to be completely environmentally friendly, and we plan to have that ready by 2030. So realistically, that's not far away at all. To give you an idea and concept, we're actually discussed now 25, 26 itineraries now to be launched in September. So you're only talking maybe I don't know, a year and a half away before we actually start selling this program. So hopefully this has given you a bit of a snapshot of the impact that we have on our local communities, what it means to you and what it means to your guests that are going to come with us. And the one lovely thing that we always get is our guests want to be part of this journey. They don't just want to sit and watch. A lot of the times when we're in port, we also have cleanup days. So we go down to the local beaches, local communities, and rather than go on excursions, we find a lot of guests will actually want to come with us and do the cleanups as well. So I fully encourage that when you book your guests with us, to tell them to engage in our green programs, so that actually they are part of the change. They are actually part of the environmental upgrade and change that we have. And that's the lovely thing. People are coming back, and that's their new Instagrammable moment. It's not being in the best hotel in the world. It's saying that I was actually up in Greenland and I helped do a beach cleanup, and we collected this amount of litter and plastic, and this is what it means to the environment. And also down in Antarctica, they've probably done some science trips where they've actually got some sea samples and brought them back to our science centre on board. And the findings of that will then go on to universities and governments for the learnings that we're also doing. So as you can see, a lot of work going on at Hurtigruten Group, and we welcome you on board and your guests as soon as you want to start making the bookings for us. But again, sustainability, community is at the heart of everything we do. But thank you for joining, everyone, and I think that's my time up, is it?